Are you concerned about the air you breathe and the water you drink since the train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio? I'm Sydney Wentz, and straight ahead, I'll tell you what this means for us here in Morgantown. Our Emmy Award-winning WVU News starts now. Pew Research Center reported that as of July of 2022, America had fully regained the 25 million jobs lost during the pandemic, and the Federal Reserve reported 223,000 new jobs added in just December of 2022. According to the CDC, 81.4% of deaths in the state last year were due to an overdose. But by this summer, naloxone will be available over the counter, making it easier and more affordable for anyone to stop an overdose. According to information provided by the Encova Institute, 400 WVU students have started businesses since 2012. Of those businesses, 23.5% have made their home right here in Morgantown. For many people in Ohio, their main concern is the quality of their water. But experts say the main concern for West Virginia isn't the water, it's the air quality. I'm Sydney Wentz, and coming up on WVU News, nearly half of West Virginians live within just a mile of an oil well, just like this one. Are you one of them? I'll tell you why your health may be at risk, coming up next. Country roads take some alumni home, but what about those who stay? I'm Sydney Wentz, and coming up on WVU News, I'll tell you how alumni-founded businesses like this one are helping the local economy. Unemployment is at its lowest for the first time in 50 years. I'm Sydney Wentz, and straight ahead, I'll tell you how we're going to see those nationwide stats here in Morgantown. Our Emmy Award-winning WVU News starts now. Of those oil wells like the one you see behind me, the state reports that 65,000 are considered unused or abandoned. I'm Sydney Wentz, and the FDA is making a major change to a life-saving drug. I'll have more on this story coming up now. For many WVU students, Morgantown is a stop on their educational journey. But for Hannah Azulai, she made Morgantown a home, not just for herself, but for her business as well.
I went to school here, graduated here, and realized that there was a serious lack of women's clothing in this town. And I figured it might as well be me to start the trend.
Azulai graduated from WVU in 2021 and saw an opportunity for a boutique clothing store in the area. And Heartbreak Avenue Boutique in Star City was born. According to information provided by the Encova Institute, 400 WVU students have started businesses since 2012. Of those businesses, 23.5% have made their home right here in Morgantown. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that 54% of out-of-state college students return home following graduation. But Carrie White, executive director of the WVU Launch Lab, says those who choose to stay can make a big impact on the local economy.
I know when students come into the Launch Lab and they're interested in starting businesses, a lot of them do want to stay here in Morgantown.
According to Forbes, only half of small businesses will survive past 5 years. But Azulai says she has no doubt that Heartbreak Avenue will continue to serve Morgantown for years to come.
Yeah, definitely looking at my own storefront one day. This is a stepping stone to having my own storefront, but right now I love doing collab with Star City Nutrition.
Heartbreak Avenue is located inside of Star City Nutrition on University Avenue. Sydney Wentz, WVU News, Star City. An Ohio train derailment earlier this month spilled hazardous chemicals into the air and water, forcing thousands of people to evacuate. Residents of surrounding areas, including Morgantown, are worried about how the spill will impact them. Resident Rick Thomas walks the rail trail along the Mon River with his children at least once a week, but he says now he fears what harm the air and water may cause his family.
We always worry about our kids, and the particulates that are in the air, they're saying, could be potentially up to 100 miles, and that puts us right in the fallout zone, I guess you would call it.
Morgantown Utility Board says the spill poses no direct threat to our area. Dr. Michael McCauley of WVU Public Health says tools like these measure chemicals in the air. But McCauley is concerned about the geography of the state.
Hollers and valleys don't necessarily get really good ventilation from the wind. They tend to be still, more still areas where if something moves into there from this wave, it's going to get stuck there.
There were 818 train derailments in 2022, and 447 of those were carrying hazardous or dangerous materials. For many people in Ohio, their main concern is the quality of their water, but experts say the main concern for West Virginia isn't the water, it's the air quality. But for parents like Thomas, the main concern isn't the quality of the air or water now, but what could happen in the future.
You know, we want to see some sort of accountability, some sort of legislation going forward. And, you know, if it can improve the rail system, I guess that's good, but this is something that could have been avoided.
Sydney Wentz, WVU News, Morgantown. Naloxone is a medication administered as a nasal spray, and in March, the federal government approved its sale over the counter. Allie Rockline is a senior at WVU. Allie lost her father to an overdose her freshman year.
My dad used it I believe around 8 times, and to me that even though he wasn't able to survive this disease, he was able to still have 2 years longer than he probably wouldn't have without Narcan.
Naloxone is expected to be sold in grocery stores, pharmacies, gas stations, and even online retailers. Executive Director of West Virginia Sober Living, John Dower, says that Narcan being available over the counter is vital to keeping someone in overdose alive.
So you're literally going to want to slightly tilt the person's head back, put it in one nostril, push the plunger, and wait the longest 2 to 5 minutes of your life to see if respiration starts to increase again.
According to the CDC, 81.4% of deaths in the state last year were due to an overdose. But by this summer, naloxone will be available over the counter, making it easier and more affordable for anyone to stop an overdose. For those concerned about stepping up in an emergency situation, Rockline wants you to know this.
Another thing about it too is it can't harm someone, so even if you're unsure if this is an opioid overdose, it won't harm the person if it's not.
West Virginia Sober Living estimates that they annually distribute 10,000 naloxone doses to the Morgantown community as a part of their Save a Life Day efforts. Sydney Wentz, WVU News, Morgantown.